Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday the two new Mayan commanders officially had their skills revealed as a sort of happy new year's gift from Lilith, I suppose, and I wasn't home so I couldn't make a video about it, but I did post a very lengthy Golden Kingdom guide that I had pre-recorded. So if you guys haven't done Golden Kingdom yet, this is your reminder. Do it. Just I'll put my video up on the one monitor, get it done, okay? But of course I ran into the dilemma of, I'm not home. Do I go home just to make a video about these two new Mayan commanders, or do I wait an extra day for today to post this video? And I looked at the kit for both of these new commanders. Of course, Siyaj, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I apologize if I'm not. He is of course the legendary. We also have Lady Six Guy, who is the epic commander. And I looked at the kits and I thought, man, there's got to be something I'm missing here, because these commanders don't even feel like they make sense in season one. Like, they seem quite bad. And so today we're going to go over their skills. I'm going to give you guys my thoughts and opinions, and I feel like there are two sort of outcomes or two reasons why these commanders might be the way that they are. So we'll talk about that later in the video, so make sure you stay tuned. But of course, as you guys know, I am a partner creator with Rise of Kingdoms, which means they support a few videos on the channel every month, just like this one. But the most important support comes from you guys dropping a thumbs up and subscribing down below. And of course, what's going on, guys? Cheers, the first cheers of 2025, and of course, happy new year to everybody. It's time to leave 2024 in the past. Whether it was amazing to you, that's great, use that for your advantage moving into 2025. Or if 2024 wasn't great for you, that's okay, it is over now. This is a fresh start. Focus on the future, don't focus on the past, which is funny to say because the Mayan civilization is literally focusing on the past. We're literally going to focus on the past in today's video. But anyway, let's take a look at Siyaj here for a minute and see if we can figure out what he's actually good at. We've got archer, conquering, and skill. And can I just say, if the devs are watching, I think it's time that we change the conquering emblem, because this implies siege, but of course siege now are their own troop type with engineering. And so maybe we should change this. Like, I don't know, this implies that it would be a siege commander, but it's not a siege commander. So it made sense before ranged came into the game. Now it doesn't seem like it makes that much sense anymore. Anyway, let's take a look. Active skill called Flameborn. Awesome name, awesome icon, but the skill itself, whew, is it awesome? Well, it says it deals direct damage to a target troop with a damage factor of 1000, and if you're the initiator of the rally, you deal another 400 damage to the target every second for 1 second. So it's a very bizarre damage over time, because the time is single digit. It is 1 unit of time. So I don't know what the case might be here. Second skill, 15% attack, 10% health, 10% march speed. Okay, decent for a gold key commander. I'm going to be honest, decent. Okay, not incredible, but for a gold key commander, this is solid. You get the health, which is nice. You get the attack, which you want for rallying, and march speed is always good, especially for archers. So okay, first skill, combined, assuming you're rallying, it's 1400 damage, which, I mean, if we look at other commanders, like for example Cao Cao, like he hits for 1400, and that's unconditional, right? And it's a massive debuff here. So no idea why the damage factor is so low and so conditional for Siyaj, when we already have commanders in the gold keys that have been in the gold keys since the game started, and it's worse than them. Very bizarre. Okay, moving on to the third skill, it says you have 10% more skill damage when attacking a city or stronghold. So right off the bat, it's a very small skill damage bonus, right? Again, if we compare this to other gold key commanders, we can literally look at the second skill from Mehmed, and it's 20% skill damage unconditional, right? You get this all the time, and this is also a conquering skill commander, right? Not sure what's going on here with all the conditional natures of things. Good news is you can get an extra 10% skill damage if you have more units than the target. So there's you have to meet 2 conditions in order to get the same skill damage bonus as Mehmed already has on his kit by default, which is crazy. Okay, the only benefit is that if you have fewer, then you lose the extra 10% skill damage, but you gain 5% less damage taken. So I mean, that's all damage, which is nice. A little bit of tankiness here, but I'm really confused as to like what exactly, where's the benefit of this commander? Like, there's so much that's conditional on this kit already, and it's like nothing crazy, right? So really interesting stuff here so far. Fourth skill, you get 50% chance whenever you deal skill damage to recover 500 healing factor of your slightly wounded and gain 10% archer defense for 3 seconds. So okay, that's a 5-second cooldown, and you know, you have effectively 2 instances of this possibly occurring on the active skill alone, plus your secondary commander will probably have skill damage as well. Also, if you have something like Phoenix Tail arrows, I believe in the archer tree, that might proc this. But the 5-second cooldown, I mean, you know, basically every time you launch an active skill, you'll probably get this, but the cooldown kind of makes this hard to abuse. You can't really abuse this, right? So a little bit of healing on the rally, which is okay. It's not mighty healing technically, so like it's not like this is, you know, season 1's introduction to mighty healing. And 10% archer defense is nothing crazy, and it's not like it's stacked, right? It's not like you can stack this 2 3 4 times. It's just 10% archer defense. Not really seeing it. Expertise, this commander deals 5% more additional damage, so really you're bumping up this 400 by 5%. So this changes it from 400 to 420, blaze it. But I mean, cool. Whenever this target reaches 90% rage, this commander's troop has a 100% chance to deal additional damage to the target every second for 1 second with a damage factor of 200, and it's a 10-second cooldown. So you're going to hit 90% rage in less than 10 seconds if you have the optimal skill tree, right? So you're going to get this every other skill cycle, which is like really bad. So I don't know what is going on here. And again, later in the video, we're going to talk about what this could mean for Siyaj. Okay, there's 2 possible outcomes here for Siyaj, and one of them looks way more likely than the other for me. But before we do that, let's take a look at the active skill, and I expect it to be a massive arrow. Boom, there it is. For something called Flameborn, you would expect a massive fireball, and it looks like it's green fire, I guess, which is cool because like the Mayans, the art style is all about the greenery and the trees and the jungle, which is cool. And you see also that healing factor goes off there, which is nice. You know, I think the animation is great. Also, the design of the commander is great. I love how he looks. He looks awesome, formidable, Giga Chad. Look at the delts, brother. Look at the pecs, you know what I'm saying? Forearms are huge. Like, this dude is jacked, okay? Dude is jacked, and we need more commanders that look like this in the game. I feel like he's awesome. Let's move on to Lady Six Guy, Wak Chanil Aja. We're gonna call her Lady Six Guy on this channel because it's way easier to say, even though that might not be technically correct. That's not technically her name, but we're going to call her Lady Six Guy because I probably butchered this announcement or this name anyway. Integration Gathering Defense. Okay, most of the gathering commanders are not that interesting. We have an AoE buff here. We deal 350 damage factor to a single target for 2 seconds, so 700 total, and 5 nearby enemies lose 10% health for 2 seconds. That is a nice debuff. It's a small number and for a small amount of time, but it can hit 5 targets, which is nice, right? Like, you look at CPO Prime, who, you know, you really can't compare an epic to CPO Prime in any form or fashion, but he's 30% for 3 targets. This is, you know, 10% to 5 targets. It's, you know, for an epic, it seems pretty balanced. So overall, active skill's cool, but it's nothing game breaking. It is interesting and unique for epics, however, so I like that. Dance of the Maze God. Okay, you gain 20% wood gathering speed, 20% stone gathering speed, and 30% food gathering speed, and when gathering from a resource point, you gain 10% defense and health. Really weird that we would get another food gatherer, right? If you think about the legendary gatherers, we have Sunduk, who's mainly used for gold gathering. We have Cleopatra, who's mainly used for, or specializes in, I should say, stone gathering. And then we have Ishida, who specializes in food gathering. So there's only 3 legendary gatherers, and we're literally missing wood. There's not a wood gatherer for legendary, and here we get another food gatherer who can't even get a bonus for gathering gold as an epic, whereas you have Joan of Arc, who gets 20% gathering 25% gathering speed and a load bonus for all resource types. So to me, very bizarre that this commander functions the way she does, doesn't give gold gathering speed, and specializes in gathering a resource that we didn't have any trouble gathering at all. Maybe it's because we have Constance as a blue commander who specializes in wood gathering, and that kind of balances it, I guess, who has a great expertise, or not expertise, 4th skill, by the way. I don't know what the thought was here. A gold gathering would have been incredible. Don't know why we didn't get it here. By the grace of the stars, whenever this commander's troop launches or is hit by a basic attack, you have a 20% chance to recover with 400 healing factor with a 10-second cooldown. Again, mega cooldown for a skill that is not that good. 4th skill, you get 10% troop capacity, which I think is cool. I think that more troop capacity for epic commanders is fine. The other thing too, well, let's look at the expertise. It's a boosted skill. It says whenever you launch or are hit by a basic attack, it boosts the healing factor, and when you receive healing, you gain 5% health for 15 seconds. It can stack twice, and it resets whenever it gains another stack, so you get 10% health effectively for longer battles. Okay, so, and that kind of makes up for the fact that there's literally no stats on this kit unless you're in a resource node. So what I think Lady Six Guy is going to be good for is she will be a hybrid gatherer, and I think you could probably put her as a peacekeeper, because she will debuff the, you know, if you're chaining barbs and you're you know, pulling a lot of barbs, then you're debuffing all those barbs, and you also have a decent single target damage hit of 700, and you also have healing, and you could bring more troops so you can last longer in the battlefield. So she'll be okay for killing barbs, and she'll be okay for gathering, but she doesn't really move the needle in my opinion. Let's take a look at this active skill. It's a big circle, and you see this large Mayan artifact rise up into the sky. It's almost like the mark of the Death Eater kind of in Harry Potter. It looks cool. I mean, obviously that's a skull and crossbones, this is not, or it's a skull with the snake, this, but like that's kind of the effect that it's giving off in my mind. So I think this is cool. I think a nice animation. Overall, this commander is not that exciting to me. So what are the two outcomes for these commanders, right? Well, first of all, Lady Six Guy is one and done, right? Like there's really nothing else that she can do. There's not going to be any museum relics for her, so she's set in stone. That's the commander. We're done with it. And to me, pretty underwhelming, not that exciting. And if this is, you know, if you're gonna start the game as Mayans, then you're starting the game at a disadvantage, because the Mayan civilization the civilization buffs in general are not very good for the early game. This commander as an epic commander being your guaranteed commander for Mayans, also not very good, right? I mean, you could argue that it's okay for peacekeeping, okay for gathering, but really you're not min-maxing anywhere. And Joan of Arc arguably is just better for both of those things. Her buff and the active skills way better than the debuff here, and the gathering is way better for Joan. So all in all, Lady Six Guy, not great. But let's take a look once again at Siyaj, because this is clearly a commander that has a defined role in PvP, and that's rallying, and his skills are very specifically for rallying. There's so much conditions around this being a rally commander, and I think it's for two reasons. One, I think that archers already are pretty good in the open field in the early game. When you look at commanders like Thutmose, who has AoE, you look at commanders like YSG, still arguably could be used in the end game meta with commanders like Ashurbanipal or with Shajar, right? So YSG great in the early game. And if you look at El Cid, I think El Cid is actually better than Siyaj in almost every way for the field, right? El Cid also has the skill tree. El Cid also deals 1,000 damage factor in the field, and he won't be dealing the extra 400 in the field, right? El Cid has defense, more march speed, don't forget that. El Cid also has an instant proc of 1,000, which just is better, like open and shut case. And the fourth skill on El Cid, like I can't believe it, right? In 2025 I'm glazing El Cid, right? It's actually ridiculous, but that's kind of like, to give you guys an idea, that's kind of how bad I think this new commander is. El Cid's fourth skill says when you're below 50%, you gain 25% more damage and 25% march speed, like 20% defense. This is just a better commander for the open field than Siyaj. And it makes sense because versatility is supposed to be like the field commanders pretty much, but it just begs the question, like, okay, well, that means what is the future of Siyaj here if even El Cid is better, right? Even Mehmed is better for rallies, it seems like, because I mean, more attack, more skill damage, more damage factor, it's AoE, right? There's just so much, and bigger rally capacity. So El Cid and Mehmed, two commanders we already have, are better than Siyaj in both of those scenarios. So what are the two outcomes for Siyaj? Well, the first one is that it's possible, and this is a reach, but it's possible that Siyaj gets a broken museum relic, and that could push him to be, you know, it would have to be so insane to even consider him for endgame that I just don't see it happening. He would need to have something along the lines of plus 1,000 damage factor for the active skill and something like 50% skill damage. Both of those things would have to be true on his relic at its highest tier for people to even look at Siyaj. I think that would be the only thing, and even still there's not enough stats here really, in my opinion. So there's that. The other thing is that there could be some synergy with additional damage commanders down the line, and or a new formation that buffs damage over time, like dot damage, which I think is very reasonable and very possible. I think that we've been seeing a couple of formations every year. I think it's only a matter of time before one of them focuses on additional damage, so that's kind of something to look out for, where, you know, there could be some armaments that have inscriptions that double or triple the amount of time that you would have damage over time effects, right? So that would bump this up to 2, 3, 4 seconds. Now you're looking at a commander that deals a lot of single target damage, but that's not going to change this commander for season 1. Those are the two outcomes that could make this commander viable, but I think the most logical and the most likely outcome for Siyaj, unfortunately, is that he is going to be used as marketing fodder. And what I mean by this is that he's just going to be used for promotional purposes. The Mayan civilization launch is going to be a big marketing push for Rise of Kingdoms to get players interested in the game, either to come back to the game or to try the game for the first time. And that's going to be where it's open and shut case. He's just fodder. He's just not good, and he just looks cool for marketing materials to get players to download the game. That's possible. And is he the worst gold key legendary? I don't think so, but he's pretty close to it, honestly, unless, again, something like I've mentioned before and outlined, you know, we have to get an insane museum relic that he needs the best ever museum relic to be relevant, in my opinion. Like, he needs a better museum relic than Thutmose to be relevant at all. And so that's saying a lot. That's saying a lot for how bad he is, unless there's some sort of typo here. Like, his kit looks so bad, I think there might be a typo somewhere, or like, that would make sense to me if they came out and said, oh, hey, just kidding, this is supposed to say 3 seconds, right? Then I'd be like, oh, okay, that makes sense, right? But you know, that's kind of where I'm at with Siyaj. I think he's just going to be marketing fodder, unfortunately, and that's kind of it. And also Lady Six Guy just kind of misses the mark for me as well. So these commanders, not very relevant in my opinion. They're probably not going to change early game or late game meta. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. That's where I'm at. I could be wrong about this. We'll have to wait and see, but that's kind of my analysis here. And really the entire community is just holding their breath for when we're going to get the skill reveals for King Arthur, which I imagine will be in the next 2 or 3 days. So I'm really excited for that. Could be in 12 hours from the time I post this, right? Or 14 hours, something like that. Like, I have no insider information, but I'm just guessing. So that's kind of my evaluation of these 2 new commanders. Unfortunately, I don't have any secret hidden, you know, things that I can recommend to you to make these commanders better. They just seem bad unless there's future plans for them, like a formation or insane museum relic, like literally best ever museum relic for Siyaj. That's it, guys. If you made it to the end of this video, I really do appreciate it. I know I was late to release this information, so if you made it to the end of my video, that means that you waited for me to post this, which means you're the GOAT. And if you're the GOAT, I really hope you drop a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And while you're down there, comment down below your thoughts on Siyaj and Lady Six Guy. Did I miss anything, or is this pretty much the consensus everyone's coming to? I'm not seeing it, right? I'm not seeing anything interesting here besides a really cool marketing campaign, which, I mean, fair enough, but I feel like they could have done a little bit more here. That's just my opinion. Of course, if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.